So we have these two rhododendron plants in our front yard, and I have to say I've had this love-hate relationship with them. Like, at one point I was asked Heather Miller, do you want them? Because I don't want them anymore. Let's dig them up and you can have them. But then Aaron went out and trimmed them up, and I was like, wow, they look nice. They just needed to be, like, reshaped. So the other day, I'd been driving around. This time of year you go and you see, all the beautiful plants. And then I drove into our driveway, and I was looking at our plants, and I was like, they're not, like, blooming that much. And I could see all the dead things from last year that I hadn't deadheaded. And if you guys don't know about rhododendrons, like I didn't know until my neighbor finally told me, you have to pluck away all the dead flowers at the end of the season, or once they flowered. So John 15, 1-2 says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. So just like those rhododendron plants, we can't be fruitful, and sometimes he has to pluck some things away, right? So pruning is cutting away dead things and unnecessary things. So God kind of started showing me some things in my life that I need to prune, and then other things, relationships, friendships, old mindsets, old ways of being or operating, unnecessary things that are taking too much of our time. And like I said, we can't grow and be more fruitful unless some things are removed from our lives. So we need to grow obviously we need to abide in him. So you can't cut a rose and then, expect it to keep blooming. It's going to eventually die, right? So we got to abide in him and be attached to the fruit or the root or the vine. But then we also need, and this is something I learned later with my rhododendrons, is obviously it needs certain sun, water, fertilizer, and then pruning, obviously. So just how Aaron had to shape that rhododendron, God has to prune us to shape us. We have to deadhead rhododendrons and prune plants to let them get more energy. And also, if you think about like trees and stuff, a lot of times people prune them because you don't want damage to like your house or your car or whatever. So sometimes God is pruning us and things in our lives because he's protecting us, right? So just like some of those things I said before. So this is, so God expects us to progress, not stay stagnant. And this is something Joyce Meyer said. Sometimes the pruning is painful and we might not understand it. And this is what she said. But it is necessary for us to grow into the fruit-bearing believers of Jesus Christ that he wants us to be. We need to understand that God is progressive, meaning he always wants us to keep moving forward and improving. And that's my little note. And sometimes he needs to prune us as he leads us to higher places. And then somebody else said this, pruning is not a punishment for a Christian, it is a reward. God is the vine dresser who prunes the life of everyone who abides in Christ and bears the fruit of Christ. And this is a good part. Spiritual pruning enhances spiritual growth by removing whatever inhibits spiritual growth. So once again, I'm just asking what we need pruned in our lives.